Hello, and welcome to the No Fear Ever podcast. This is a podcast that is going to teach you how to give fear its eviction notice. I am your amazing host, Deidre Renee, and I'm also your fearless strategist. And I'm going to help you create a space where fear begins to fear you. I also want to introduce my amazing co-host. If you watched the episode last week on YouTube, you saw that Lucy was here with me. She's still here this week. And also my water. This is a custom Starbucks cup that was made for me. And I'm so excited to always have my water and my hair with me. All right. So let's dive in to last week's episode. Last week's episode was about me being a leader, a wife, also a leader in my community. For inspiration, I wanted to remind you, all of the women that watch this podcast, I want to remind you that you are my target audience. I can only relate to women. Men may listen to this and get inspired as well, and that is fine. But all of my intentions are towards bettering women, encouraging women, and helping them believe who they are and who they were called to be. Okay? So, as a result of talking last week about who I was, I wanted to talk about walking this week. There's always a process in order to have progress. Okay? There's always a process in order to have progress. And I wanted to talk about my amazing son who I brought up last week, Robert Diamond. And I was thinking about Robert Diamond. We call him Diamond, but his name is Robert Diamond Johnson. I was thinking about Diamond regarding him walking. When he came out the womb, he was totally dependent on me. He could not do anything by himself. He could not eat by himself. The only thing he could do by himself was poop his diapers and wet his diapers. That was it. He could cry. Sometimes he could burp on his own, but he was totally dependent on me, his mother. I began to think about the different levels of progression that Diamond had. He came out. He was birthed on May 30th, 1996, and he was a beautiful baby. He was strong. He was alert. You could tell he was a good baby. My mother was in the delivery room with me, and she held him first. I was like, whatever. They need to clean him off, right? They were like, you want to hold? No. Can you go clean that off of him? I don't know what all that is. I don't like that. And my mother held him first. She spoke life into him. She then handed him to me. And I knew that I was in love for the very first time in my life, outside of being a daddy's girl and loving my father. I knew that I was in love and that I would do anything to see my son be successful. He went from needing to be fed, needing his diaper changed, needing me to burp him, needing me to rock him to sleep. Then he moved to scooting. He started scooting across the bed. He started scooting and holding his head up on his own. Why? Because he was receiving nourishment, which resulted in him having more strength to do what he wasn't doing before. I was like, man, he's already growing up. Slow down, kid. Slow down. But he was moving. He was always ahead of his time. I can say that about Diamond. He went from scooting across the floor and holding his head up to then crawling. Now, he wasn't crawling fast, but he was moving. And sometimes it was as if he was thinking as he was crawling. It was as if he was thinking about his next move. And I knew he was a thinker. I knew he was methodical, even in crawling. I knew it. He couldn't really talk. But I knew that he was thinking about his next move. One day, he went from crawling slowly to crawling briskly, honestly. And I had to get a little trot in order to be able to catch him because he was crawling very fast. As he was crawling fast, I began to think about the times that he needed me. And now he wasn't really needing me. And that bothered me. I was like, man. Then one day, he crawled really fast. And he pulled up on the chair and stood up. And he looked around like, do y'all see this? Do you see what I'm doing? And my sisters, my twin sisters, my mommy and myself, anytime Diamond would do something that we knew he couldn't do the day before or had not tried the day before, we would gasp. And so when he stood, we all were like, he looked around like, y'all see me, but did I do something wrong? As a result of the gasp and noticing that he began to question what he did, we started celebrating him. Yay, Diamond, yay! You did so good, oh my God! You're standing, oh my God! And we're smiling and we're telling him that we love him. And he's looking at us like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then he plopped back down to the ground and started crawling again. My mother pulled me aside and she said, Deidre, you need to get him some walking shoes. Walking shoes? What are those? Because I kept Diamond fresh, okay? And I know I just dated myself, but my son stayed fly, okay? And it wasn't because that was the only thing that was important to me. As you can see, I'm fly. Come on. But I wanted him to be fly. I wanted him to take pride in how he looked, how he presented himself. That's why his first name is Robert, because if he went to an interview, I wanted for his name not to be a stumbling block, for him to get into some doors. And I wanted him to be articulate. I did not allow people to talk baby talk around him. Diamond. No, we're not doing that. You talk to him like he is an adult. Walking shoes. My mother said my son needed walking shoes. We went to the store and I was still carrying him. And we had to get his feet sized. And they pulled out the different options of walking shoes. And I hated all of them. All of them. You know, sometimes you can have options and still not like any of the options that you have. I hated all of them. And the man in the store said the exact same thing that my mother said. And she probably called ahead of time so that he could, you know, just close the deal. No, she didn't. I'm just kidding. But he said, these walking shoes will aid your son's ankles to be strong and secure as he begins to take steps. If you keep him in those Air Jordans, if you keep him in those Nikes, if you keep him in those Adidas, there is a chance that he will not learn how to walk correctly and or he will have weak ankles. Now, when you're talking about Robert Diamond, honey, I would go to the ends of the earth for him. One of my brothers told me if you could afford it, you would buy him an authentic NASA astronaut suit if he asked for it. And I said, you can bet your bottom dollar that you're right. So when the man said this would help my son walk and aid his ankles to be strong, and not only walk, but walk correctly, it was a no-brainer. I bought the shoes that I did not like. Why? Because they had a purpose. And it was going to help my son in his process of learning how to walk. I'll be back right after these messages. Hey, shiny girl, your 2022 digital calendar is here, and it also contains space for a planner and journaling. This is sure to assist the woman on the go to stay organized. This is ideal for use on your iPad or tablet. This hyperlink format is compatible with GoodNotes, Notability, and other similar format types. If you don't want to use this software, girl, we have a printable version available as well. Keep track of your personal goals, thoughts from devotion, track your fitness, and so much more. You're a beauty who also knows how to execute. Head over to TheDeidreRenee.com and get yours now. Welcome back, everybody. I'm your amazing host, Deidre Renee, and I want to pick up where we left off. We were talking about the purchase of those ugly, starch white walking shoes. You may be asking, Deidre, why are you talking about walking shoes? Why are you talking about how ugly they were? I'm glad you asked. If we as adults would go back to a childlike mentality, we would find ourselves doing what we need to do in order to do what we want to do. If we found ourselves with a childlike mentality, we would begin to say yes to the things that are going to bring us security and help to strengthen those weak areas inside of us versus trying to be fly without substance. When I think back to those walking shoes, my son began to walk with more confidence. My son began to walk with a smile on his face. My son stopped looking down as he walked and began to look forward because he knew that he was walking correctly. My son kept trying until he got it. Every time he fell, I would pick him right back up. I wouldn't let him stay there. I would pick him right back up and say, try again, buddy. That was my name for him as a kid. Try again, buddy. You can do it, buddy. I believe in you, buddy. You did so good, buddy. And he would always look up at me when he would fall. And I would look at him and say, you can do it. You got to get back up, though. You got to get back up. Every time he got up with those walking shoes on his feet, he was able to stand, take a minute, gather himself, and try again. In the beginning stages of him walking, when he would try to walk without the walking shoes, his ankles were not strong enough to carry him. They weren't. And I would go and put his shoes on him and say, try again, buddy. And he would stand up and I'd step back and tell him, come on. You can do it. Come on. You can do it. Come to mommy. And one day, he walked to me without me asking. Now, the first time he walked, I was at work. Out of all of that coaching, all of that encouragement, he decided to walk for the first time on his own for a long distance for him, for his age, as a beginner, he did it for my sisters. They called me at work, Deidre. And of course, I'm thinking, oh my God, something's wrong with my baby. Deidre, what's wrong with Diamond? Nothing's wrong with Diamond. He's walking. I said, nah, he's not walking. Because he didn't walk before I left for work this morning. So I know he's not walking. They're like, Deidre, he is walking on his own. And sometimes he would reach out for a piece of furniture so he could lean on it. Sometimes he would stop and look around and see which way and direction he wanted to go. But at the end of the day, he walked without his number one supporter. He walked. And I had to come home and ask him, Diamond. And he looked at me and he walked. He looked like a little Frankenstein, right? He was trying to find his balance, trying to find his rhythm. But he walked to me. I didn't judge the way he walked to me. I didn't judge and make fun of how he was walking. All I cared about was that these ugly white starch shoes were working. My son's ankles were getting stronger. My son's confidence was getting stronger. My son was telling himself that he could do it. He no longer needed me to say, come on, buddy, you can do it. He knew that he could do it. And as a result of that, he walked right out of those starch white, ugly walking shoes and was able to get back in his Jordans, in his Nikes, as a result of going through the process so that he could have progress. What are you denying yourself of getting to and accomplishing, all as a result of not wanting something that is not aesthetically pleasing to your eye? What are you prohibiting yourself from accomplishing? Think about that. I'll be right back after these messages. Ladies, this beauty is a beast now carries hoodies that are so soft and sweatshirts. You know it's cold outside, girl. But don't forget, we also carry accessories now. Look at this mug. You guys grab it and remind yourself every day that you're beautiful and you are always executing. Go to www.deidrerenee.com. Hello and welcome back again. I'm your amazing host, Deidre Renee, and I want to leave you with some inspiration. Point number 1, you got to believe in every phase of your process so that you can have progress. Again, my son went from being born to, just being in my arms, totally codependent. Then he went to scooting, right? And holding his own head up. Then he went to crawling slow to crawling fast. Then he went to standing up. And then he went to walking. Every part of the process was needed. Every part of the process was important. Every posture in the process was very important because he could not just go from laying in my arms to walking. He had to gradually build himself, build his confidence, and know that it's time to do it. It's not just, oh, I'm a certain age. No. It is time to do it because my son started walking at 10 months old. I know several hundreds of children who did not start walking until they were maybe a year old. My son has always been methodical and a thinker, trying to get ahead, trying to figure out how can I cut my time a little shorter so that I can accomplish what I want to do. Okay? So always believe in every phase, in every posture that you have to go through for your process. Number 2, Keep wearing the ugly white starch shoes, okay? Keep wearing the ugly shoes. They are not there for you to win a runway contest. They are there to support you. They are there to help build up the weak places in your life. Those ugly starch white shoes are there to help you stand up on your own 2 feet, to help your ankles have confidence that you can move to the next progression in the process. All right. More people are celebrating you than you can see. More people are believing in you than you have the ability to comprehend right now. More people are putting all their money on you, right? Because it is your time to move to the next posture. The next posture requires more independence. The next posture requires less codependence. And I want for you to challenge yourself. I want for you to challenge yourself to believe that you have an audience that is waiting for your voice. That you have an audience that is waiting for you to get to the other side of whatever it is that you're facing, so that they can celebrate you, so that they can reassure you that you are the woman for the job. But we need for you to go through the process so that you can have some progress. The last thing I want to remind you is that I was at work when my son took his first steps, his official first steps. You don't need the approval of those who were there in the beginning stages. You don't need the approval of people that have always been there for you. It doesn't mean you don't love them. It doesn't mean that you don't need them, but you don't need them for the thing that you needed them for initially. I had to tell someone, you want me to need you, and I do need you. I just don't need you the way that you want me to need you. You have to know that it is okay for you to take steps, for you to crawl fast, for you to crawl slow. All of the progression that takes place in the process is as a result of more confidence being built up inside of you. And if those persons cannot celebrate you, then guess what? That means we have come to the end of the road. Boyz II Men said it best. Still, I can't let you go. All right, we're at the end of the road because you cannot celebrate where I'm going, and maybe you refuse to celebrate where I'm going because you know that I'm not going to need you like I once did. People choose to live in no fear. It's the best place to live. And if that requires separating yourself from people that have been there forever, then guess what? It's okay. Thank you for joining us today, and don't forget to like, share, and follow us on your favorite podcast platform. I hope that today's session really helped you fear less than you did the day before. Until next time, you guys.